Welcome to Good Support. It's me, Angela, and I'm sitting here with Gwen and Valerie, and we're here to talk today about life in remission and post-cancer feelings. Gwen, you want to share a little bit about yourself? Just let us know a little bit.
I was diagnosed when I was 37 in 2016. Early stage 2 invasive breast cancer. So I had to go through chemo, full mastectomy, no radiation. And this year is my 5th year, so I'm officially cancer-free.
Oh, wow, 5-year mark. That's huge.
Yeah.
So do you still take the hormone pills, or?
I'm still on tamoxifen for, I think, 10 years. So I
Okay,
believe
so
I have
yeah.
I'm halfway there.
Halfway. Okay. It's the little lily pad wings
Halfway
that we
there.
have here
Yeah.
across the lake. And what about you, Valerie?
I was diagnosed in July of 2014, and mine was stage 2. I had the double mastectomy and went through chemotherapy.
Okay.
And so I'm off of the Remedex now, so I'm
Nice.
so happy about that.
Yeah. How many reconstructive surgeries did you have?
The mastectomy with reconstruction, that was one like 5-hour-long surgery.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later or so, it was the final reconstruction with the liposuction to do
Fat grafting.
the fat grafting.
Oh, then that's it. You're good. I mean, as
That's
far like you're
it.
happy and you're like,
I mean, there's some. So I ended up with like a hole right here, like that. The fat just didn't go back where it was supposed to. But luckily, it's in a spot where like you never see these two sides together. So I'm not so bothered by it anymore.
Just a little dimple.
Yeah, and there are some ripples that are visible, like in certain arm positions, you could say. But I asked my plastic surgeon, because granted that I have the PTSD, and I was like, okay, if I were to do another reconstruction, would it guarantee that the fat is gonna land where it's supposed to land and stay where it's supposed to stay, or it's gonna be the same thing? And he goes, yeah, there's still no guarantee, and he said that to him, like, I'm his masterpiece, so it's like, don't worry about it. And I was like, okay. I was able to keep my nipples, thank God. And my surgery is like underneath the breast, so but it's still very you still get self-conscious, especially when you start dating someone or meeting someone, because it's like there's ripples. They look beautiful and perfect from far away, but when you feel them, how does it feel to them?
yeah.
So like all these things, you're like, what are they thinking?
Did your sensation ever come back?
A little bit, not fully.
What about you? Did you have
I had the double mastectomy, but I had the breast implants. So it was the surgery, and then I waited, and then each time they put liquid in to make the breast get larger.
The saline.
the
So,
expanders?
the expanders.
So yeah, you did the expanders and then you swapped it out.
It's been interesting because when you first get them, it's like you move and they kind of just move on their own. It's like, oh, and it's always cold. They
Under
always
the muscle you
under
did?
the muscle. They always feel cold to me when so when I'm hot, I just go.
Yeah, when you're experiencing
Yeah.
menopause and you're having a hot
Yes,
flash, you grab your
I
ice
just go.
cold.
It's like, oh, they're nice and
Rest.
cool. So it's like nice. But yeah, I wasn't able to keep my nipples, but they made some, and when they did, and when he first did it, though, they looked like my thumbs. I was like, these things are huge. And
How
he goes,
did they make them?
he took tissue from, I forgot where, another area of my body, and then he made them, and then he put them on, and I thought they were gonna fall off, but they stayed.
Wow.
But now they're cute. They look like normal nipples, and then I had to have the little tattoos to make them look like the
Okay.
real breasts.
To color them in.
To color them in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was an interesting experience. I was like, oh, so he was working, and I was awake, and he was talking to me while he was doing the work and everything.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
he's
about to have a surgery where I'm not going under, and I'm nervous about that.
It wasn't
was that
bad
weird?
at all.
Just
No, they played
casually
their
talking?
music.
When they took my port out, it was awake.
Yeah.
They didn't offer me Valium. I didn't know that was a thing, and that was probably like the last time my PTSD went through the roof.
Yeah.
So if you have anything like that, like take something, an edible, whatever helps you like stay calm.
I mean, I had to get on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medicine. I'm still on it. I still have an Ativan ready to go if I were to have a panic attack, and they still come. I mean, our bodies are all over the place, thrown with hormones, and
Yeah.
it's still a balance, trying to find the right balance, because there's a chemical imbalance, and now you got to like be a scientist for your own body and figure out what the best prescription for yourself is.
The nipple reconstruction, I heard about that before I had my mastectomy, and that gave me peace of mind knowing that that existed. It's not till the moment of the mastectomy that you know if you were able to keep them or not.
I know. That's the first. As soon as you're done, I was like, do I still have my nipple?
Yeah.
Okay, I do.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
I just was flat with nothing.
Wow. Oh, so, right.
It was,
when you first looked, it was flat.
Just
Oh,
nothing.
wow.
It's like,
I was at 32A, so that wasn't just such a shocker, but it was still like knowing that they're not there. And then the expanders, I would call them Barbie boobs.
Yeah.
Because you know how Barbie had like the flat
yeah.
chest and then it would just
Yeah.
stick like this.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had little shelves right here.
So I was like,
Yeah.
Barbie boobs.
I think my most difficult part was not being able to sleep on my stomach. I used to sleep on my stomach, and they say that's the worst position to sleep, but I always slept on my stomach. But now I can't sleep on my stomach. I sleep on my back, so it's been interesting.
Yeah, I got a
it's
pillow
hard.
that really allows me to sleep on my back, and I just sleep like truly just like flat, like a vampire. I
Yeah.
don't know why I always say vampire. I don't know any, and I don't know how they sleep. But
There's a more comfortable option for mammograms with the Smart Curve system, which reduces pinching and better distributes force on the breast. When used with the Genius exam, it's the first and only 3D mammogramming system that is clinically proven to deliver a more accurate mammogram and a more comfortable one. Visit genius3dnearme.com to find a Genius exam in your area.
today we're going to discuss all the post-cancer feelings in remission. PTSD, is that something that you experience still?
Yes.
Immediately, yeah.
Yes.
What would you like to share about that?
It started out like maybe like a year after finishing chemo. Might be TMI, but I was not able to have sex.
Yeah.
That's the first
why?
time.
You mean emotionally?
Emotionally and mentally, I wanted to, and my body was like, this is not happening. It is not happening.
Because you're in are you in forced menopause?
Yeah. Well, chemo threw me into it, and then right after chemo, they put me on the estrogen blocking medicine. So like I just never got my period back. But my therapist told me actually it was physical trauma, like after being poked and probed and all kinds of pains and surgeries, basically my body went into PTSD mode and into protective mode. So even something like sex, which is not anybody attacking you or hurting you or anything, my body still saw it as some form of invasion, and that was part of my PTSD. And also my emotions were crazy. I was just like PMS on steroids to infinity. But the good thing is I already had a therapist, and then I started talking to her right away, and we were able to deal with like all the aspects of it to where now I'm much better, but still like whenever I go for blood work or something as simple as blood work, I'm always a little bit like, even a teeth cleaning, just anything that's like pointy, I'm like, I get a little bit of anxiety.
Really?
Yeah, it's tough to be so clinically analyzed, like with your body and with your breasts. The thing that used to be a sexual thing is really hard to look at it in a sexual way now. And I feel the same. I'm trying to, get back in the saddle, so to speak, and it's really hard because my body's in menopause. I had an oophorectomy, so my ovaries are out, and I am in permanent menopause now. And that's really hard because the vaginal tissue is thin. Really can't have any moisture down there, so it seems, and it's really tough because, I mean, sex is extremely painful, and I asked my OBGYN, what can we do about that? And she said it's just a matter of like pushing through the pain and and eventually my body, through trauma, continuing to traumatize it, will eventually heal itself. And on my wall, I mean, it was just, I was like, say that again? So I find myself, while I'm having sex, just trying to push through the pain and not have an anguished face, and just like still try to sound sexy and like it's really, really difficult. And it's hard to be authentic.
Yeah.
And also dating somebody and having the reveal moment, having to tell them, it's really hard. For me, what I'm going through right now is PTSD, feeling like damaged goods.
My experience is more feeling the insecurities of just my body image and how I look, and with the scars that I have on my body. My husband's very understanding and loving and everything, but at the same time, like you were saying, when you're having the intercourse and the sex, it's just like, he's like, are you okay? Are you okay? So he's worried about how I'm doing, and I'm concerned about him. Am I giving him the pleasure, you know, that he needs? And so it's like, okay, let's get ready. You know, you try to talk yourself up to it. And there's some products that are out there that have worked for me that make it a little bit less uncomfortable. And
Like what?
The lubricant, it's, I want to call it Bonafide or something like that, but I'm not sure of the name. You just place and wait about 30 minutes, and
So it's a
been
time thing. You
lot
can't
less.
really,
It's
like,
not
hold that thought.
spontaneous, yes.
Yeah.
So, but it's been a lot less painful for me.
Yeah.
There's a lubricant that we used to that works pretty good. The name is a cuss word, so I don't know that I can
Really? Okay.
F water. Use your imagination.
Okay. Oh, wow.
But it's water based, and my friend recommended it to me, and it works really well. And then my OBGYN recommended. It's a little pricey. I haven't started it yet, but I'm really considering. And it's a laser therapy, and it
Mona
has
Lisa?
the Mona Lisa. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm seriously considering it because, I mean, I'm 43. I have a long life ahead of me, and it's
Yeah. And are you in a relationship right now?
yes, I have a boyfriend.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long have you been together?
A year and a half.
What was that like to introduce him into your world? Was that?
We texted a lot before we met in person, so I was able to see that he's a very empathetic and compassionate person, so that made it very easy for me. When we met in person, I pretty much told him my history. And then with the sex thing, it's a little bit difficult, because how do you bring somebody that's a guy that hasn't had the need to face menopause and any of these stuff? How do you even explain these things to them? And then, like you say, you're concerned that, well, if I tell him all these things, is he gonna get turned off, or gonna be like, oh my God, this is too much work, or is it overwhelming?
Yeah.
So, but he's super, super kind, super understanding and supportive, and that helps me open up whenever I need to.
Do you feel like there are any tricks that you could give advice on? For instance, when you get an MRI, not a lot of people know that you can request that music plays in there. Did you know that?
Yeah, they just offered it.
Oh.
But then when the noise starts, I can't really hear it.
Yeah.
Then it's just like ta 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 over 80s music.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so you chose 80s music.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to tell people, because it's not always, you know.
And then sometimes with the children's hospital, you can go to they have an open one, so that you don't have to be inside. I'm not claustrophobic, so I don't have that issue. But my older sister did, and so they would take her over to children's, and she'd be in the open one. But if she had to go through the other one, she'd have to be anesthetized, or just to be twilighted.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I found like finding ways to distract myself. So when I heard that I can pick what music I wanted in my MRI thing, that's what I focused on for the 3 days before, was like, what, you know, and I went with ABBA, and I told them to blast
yes.
ABBA. It's kind of epic to play ABBA at the
ABBA's
same time.
amazing.
Where you're hearing,
Yeah.
Their voices are so soothing. Like,
Yeah.
I can
Yeah,
totally
it's-
see why you would choose
yeah,
that.
it just felt like, it's like, here we are.
Yeah.
Did you do choreographies in your mind?
Well, that was
That's
really
true,
hard for me
too.
as a dancer, to be still and play such, like
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
just, you
so
know.
it's one
like-
moves. Like,
But like in your head, where you're like, I'm gonna go and do this choreography
create
later,
while
and,
you're-
and
It kind of was like learning how to be still while listening to music that wanted you to go, and just kind of taking in the fact that I was like, wow, if I didn't have this music playing, I would hear die, die, die. It's the word die. in my head. I was- that
Oh.
sound, that's all I kept hearing,
Yeah.
and it was it's very dark. Maybe
That's
we won't
interesting.
get that.
Yeah.
We talked a little about PTSD. What about the stress of cancer coming back? Is that something that is on your mind, or what have you? I think if I were to find out that it came back, what will I wish I had done? So I'm working on just trying to have as least amount of regrets as possible. Just going for it and being in the moment.
You know what? The reason why I did the double mastectomy is because I was thinking that it would ease my mind of not having it come back in that sense of the breast cancer. But then I always say God has a funny sense of humor, because during COVID we were off work and I was like, I'm not ready to go back to work. And so then I started having these issues where I started bleeding, and I was like, what's going on? I'm in menopause. Why am I having a period? And so when I went to the doctor, I told her, and she did a biopsy, and she found that I had uterine cancer. So for me, the cancer, I had a different form of cancer. So, but I felt like I got through the breast cancer. I had a great support system. My church, my family, everybody was so supportive. I said, I'm not going to worry. I can get through this too.
How do you feel now?
I feel great. I'm starting to feel back to myself with the chemo from before. We had the neuropathy in our fingers and toes, so I've gone through that again, and my fingers are starting to feel back to normal, but my feet are still numb. But I've been taking physical therapy, and I've even joined a dance class where I do line dancing. So that's been a fun thing for me. So it's like the black girl that can't dance, but not all black people can dance. Yeah, so I'm doing pretty good.
Do you worry? Do you think about that?
I used to when I was a little bit like close to having finished treatment. Like any little pain I had, I would be like, oh my God, is this is this it? But now I'm not, and it's my way of not giving it control, and if it's my way of enjoying the time I had left, whatever it might be. Because when I got diagnosed, I cried for 2 weeks, and one of the reasons I cried was like, I'm 37, I have decades ahead of me, and in my mind it was like, this is decades of opportunity for this to come back. Somewhere through treatment, my perception changed, and I was like, my body already beat this. This does not belong to me. This tumor is just rubble from a battle that's already been fought and won. I focus on, like, you know, my mom has friends that have gone through breast cancer. They didn't do chemo or any of that, and it's been over 10 years, and they have not had a reoccurrence. So I focus on those people, on those stories. Like, they're fine, they're okay. I feel like if I worried, I'm giving it attention and somehow control.
The other thing I think about is just the process of how things have changed. It used to be when you had breast cancer, it was a death sentence, but now with all the treatments and everything that they have out there, there's better hope for you. So your prognosis is a lot better than what it used to be.
Yeah, and like that's the reason I did double. I was qualified to do just single, but on my dad's side of the family, I have 2 aunts and a cousin that had breast cancer. So clearly on my dad's side of the family, this is like a big thing. So I was like, I'm not gonna worry about this. Like just do them both. And also for reconstruction purposes, I was like, just do them both.
For symmetry.
For symmetry. And I'm like, when I'm 70, this needs to look the same. I don't need like Barbie on one side and the other one is like Raggedy Ann or something. It's like, no thanks.
Raggedy Ann's boobs are horrible.
No, sorry. I was like, I want them to age the same.
Right. No, I hear you.
So I'm sorry. Like, I feel that. I just went like, aging the same. But part of me was like, I do not feel comfortable doing just one side.
If you were able to give advice to people out there who have friends or family that are going through breast cancer, any advice you could give them on things to say, what not to say?
Definitely omit the part that they knew somebody that had it and passed away. That's not what you need to hear. Listen to your friends. Sometimes what we want to be is heard. We know we're going to be okay. Or maybe you had doubts that you're going to be okay, but at that point, what you want to be is listened to and heard and validated. And I know people mean well when they say, you're going to be okay, it's okay, you're strong, you're a survivor. And it's like, yes, I know, but I'm still going through this. I'm still angry, I'm still sad. I'm human. I have emotions, and I need to get them out, and I just want to be heard.
Yeah.
I think just encouragement, to continue to encourage the person. From my standpoint, I didn't get the anger. I wasn't upset. I think partly because I watched my sister go through her journey, and she had a brain tumor. So I watched her decline, and she passed away February of 2015. My journey was nothing compared to hers. So when I talked to other people and our friends and family, their support, it helped me. But also just watching her go through and seeing how strong she was encouragement for me.
It's so important to connect with other women
Yeah,
that have gone
yeah.
through this. And it does give you someone else to, oh, she did it, I can do this. And
Yeah, I think it's always good to share your story because it helps
Yeah.
somebody else through. And that's one reasons is like, well, why am I going through this? And it's not so much for you sometimes, it's for how you're going to end up helping somebody else.
it's all going to make sense someday.
Yes.
And I think slowly things start to make sense. Oh, that's why.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Oh, okay. That's the lesson I learned.
Yeah.
I'm having feelings that I thought I didn't still have. So it's been really lovely meeting everybody and sharing. And so
Meeting you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's our last episode of Good Support. Thank you so much for joining us.